All right, everybody, here we go. No, not algebra. This is not algebra. This is geometry. This is a geometry chapter 9 practice test that you got in class, and I'm going to do problems 1 through 3 here. Just following along with the notes that are available to you on Moodle, but if you want some explanation, here we go. Problem number 1, we're going to find the exact surface area of the cylinder. So the cylinder that we see here, if we flatten the cylinder, what we will see is two circles and a rectangle. The rectangle is kind of wrapped around. It's the label of the cylinder. So the first thing I'm going to do is find the area of the two circles. So I have to find the area of the two circles in order to find the surface area, and that is going to be pi times 7 squared, because the area of a circle is pi times the radius squared. Why is that a 7 in the formula? Because the radius of the circle is 7. The indicated value here is the diameter. 14 is the diameter, therefore 7 is the radius. So the area of this circle right here is pi times 7 squared, which is 49 pi. Notice I'm leaving it in terms of pi because I don't want to deal with the decimal. Therefore, the area of the top and the bottom of this cylinder is 98 pi. That's the area of the top circle and the bottom circle put together. Now we have to find the area around the cylinder, also known as the lateral area. And the lateral area of the circle is going to be 14 pi times 12.9. Where does the 14 pi come from? That's a great question. The 14 pi is the circumference of this circle. Because if we flatten out the cylinder, there will be a rectangle that is formed, and the length of the rectangle is the distance around this circle. And the distance around a circle is called circumference. And the circumference is found by pi times the radius times 2. And the radius times 2 is 14, and we multiply that by pi. So this 14 pi is the circumference of the circle, and the 12.9 is the height of the rectangle that's being wrapped around. Therefore, the lateral area of the cylinder is 180.6 times pi. So now we have the area of the top and the bottom, and we have the area around the cylinder. So we're going to add those two things together and get 98 pi plus 180.6 pi. That's equal to 278.6 pi, which is our answer, because they want the exact surface area, and the exact surface area will always be in terms of pi. Don't change the pi to a decimal, because then it's no longer exact. So your answer for number 1 is 278.6 times pi. And that would be meters squared if we're getting technical about the area. Number 2, we have a cylindrical vase. Notice I drew the picture here. This is not on your test, but this is the figure that would appear. So if you're trying to visualize what's happening here, we have a base radius of 4 centimeters, so I'm just kind of making a note that that's 4. And she's going to paint the outside of the vase, and how many square centimeters will Trudy have to paint? And we're rounding to the nearest whole number, and we're using 3.14 as pi. Notice that this is a vase, so we are not including one of the circles. This circle is kind of open, so that's not a flat area that we need to paint, so we're not going to include that. We still need to find the area of the base, though, because the bottom circle is going to get painted, which would be pi times 4 squared. Pi times 4 squared is equal to 16 pi. 16 pi is the area of the circle at the bottom. Then we have to find the lateral area, and much like we did with the last problem, we are going to find the circumference of the circle, because that is the length of the rectangle that wraps around the cylinder, times 29, which is the height of the rectangle, and we multiply that together and we get 232 pi. This value right here, 232 pi, is the lateral area of the cylinder. So to find the area of everything that's being painted, we're going to add the 16 pi, the area of the base, and the lateral area together and get 248 pi. This is an exact value. They want us to use 3.14 for pi and round it to the nearest whole number. So we're going to do this. 248 times pi is equal to 248 times 3.14. I use just 3.14 because that's what we are asked to use for pi. and I get 778.72. That's not our answer because they want us to round it to the nearest whole number. Round to the nearest whole number would be 779. So your answer for number 2 is 779. And number 3, we have a paper cup is a perfect cylinder that is 5.6 centimeters tall and 6 centimeters across. When it says 6 centimeters across, that means the diameter of this, the top of the paper cup, is 6. And notice I have the picture here, not included in your test, but I drew that figure just to kind of see what that looks like. And we want to find the total surface area of the cup to the nearest square centimeter. So in reality, this problem is very similar to number 2, where we have a paper cup. Paper cup does not have a top to it, so there's no circle up here that I have to find the area for. So what I'm going to do is find the area of just one of the circles. The circle at the bottom, which would be pi times the radius squared, so that'd be pi times 3 squared, which is 9 pi. 9 pi is the area of just the bottom circle. Then I have to find the area of the rectangle that's wrapped around the circle, which it creates the cylinder. So I'm going to find the circumference. 6 pi is the circumference of the circle. That is the length or the width, whatever you want to call it, of the rectangle that would be formed if we flattened out this paper cup. So 6 pi is the length or width of the rectangle, and we're going to multiply that by 5.6 because that's the given height of the rectangle. If we flatten out that rectangle, it's going to be 5.6. So the lateral area is 33.6 times pi. Surface area of the cylinder then, or of the paper cup, is going to be when we add those together. So we get 9 pi plus 33.6 pi is 42.6. Using pi for 3.14, we plug that in, and we get, whoops, no, this is not what we wanted. These are all a bunch of other problems. Hang on, my fault. Sorry about that. Not making a new video. Not going to happen. Sorry. Okay, so we're back here. So 133.764. This is from us doing 42.6 times 3.14. 133.764 is what we get, but they want us to round it to the nearest square centimeter. The nearest square centimeter would be 134. And now we are done. Sorry about the little hiccup there. Hope that helps. If it does not help, let me know.